Good morning. Hi, Kim. Hi, Veronica. Hi, Robin and Hannah. Good morning. Good morning. All right, today is details day, so we're going to fill in the centers, and then I'm also going to show you how you can do some extra details if you feel like your hoop needs it. So especially up here at this top part, if you wanted to put a couple bits there. Hi, George. Excuse me. Or if you wanted to put some extra leaves around here or just little French knots in the middle, there's all kinds of things that you can do to make this a little bit more interesting. Kim says she dropped in for some morning sewing ASMR. When I think of ASMR, I always think of people who talk like this and they always like whisper really quietly. I don't know why. Isn't that weird? I don't know. Maybe the ones that I've watched, like the talking ones, they always like creep me out a little bit sometimes. So the first thing we're going to start, Kim's laughing at me. The first thing we're going to start with is the French knots from yesterday. Obviously, I said you could fill in any of the middle parts with French knots. And we did a lot of French knots yesterday. I'll probably end up filling all of this in here with a French knot, but you can also do just some straight stitches, like the satin stitch, just across in the middle of some places. Let's just do that. So they don't always have to be French knots in the middle. You can do all kinds of different things. So I've just taken the same little bit different color. Oh, it's the same color from the inside of here. And I'll just do a couple. This is looking so great. Thank you. Now, sometimes I think there's a time and place for French knots. You know what I mean? You can't just like throw them in everywhere, like willy-nilly, like just going to solve all my problems with a French knot here. But sometimes they look really great. So it's completely up to you how you feel like it. A lot of times I'll actually mix the French knots in with other things. So I'll do maybe a straight stitch in the middle and then do just a small row of French knots around the outside edge. That looks really nice. I might do that with this one here just to show you what I mean. For this one here, I'm just going to do some straight stitches. This color combo. Yes. I should zoom it in. Hold on. Then you can see. Some other people have also done some straight stitches in here with like a complementary color. So I don't mean like the art form of a complementary color. I mean like just a color that complements it. So you could even do like a real light pink or something to just do some small straight stitches in there. It's my bedtime here in New Zealand. I so look forward to the morning for a stitch with my coffee before work. Thanks for your awesome video. Aw, thanks, Sue. That's so lovely. Do you know what? I think it just makes you take some time for yourself. A lot of people, they say like, well, I don't have time to do any stitching or sewing, or, you know, I only have time for my kids. It's like, yeah, being with your kids is great, but also you have to remember to take some time out for yourself. So if this has forced you to do that, good. So we'll just do a bit in here. Now you can do this as many times as you want to, because obviously we've got the padded satin stitch here, and then this here is just a regular satin stitch. So this middle flower, the petals in this middle flower are really like puffed up. So if you don't like the look of having something quite flat and then puffy and then flat again, just keep going over it. As I said, I've just taken some thread from like the scraps of this project to fill in some other places, because that's really, for me, the key to adding details is not throwing in a bunch of extra colors, because you're just going to get a bit OTT with that. It'll look like a rainbow, like threw up on your hoop instead of, you know, a carefully chosen color palette, which maybe you didn't choose your color palette carefully, but by using the colors that you've previously used again and again, it makes it look like you've really had to think about your colors and you've really, you know, you've really done it. So that's all for that. Just a really easy peasy straight stitch there. Let's do the French knot thing that I was talking about before. So just a ring of French knots and then the straight stitches in the middle. So we'll do it here. Let me see. That's a bit bright for this. Let me just find a small piece. This will work. This is the red from something else. And I'll do some straight stitches in the middle, and then I'll do a ring of French knots around the outside. Now, if you need to, you can do a small ring in there, meaning, there we go. Are you happy that you chose autumnal colors? Do you know what? I really am. I feel like I tend to not necessarily do that all the time. So it's nice to have that for a change, you know? I think mixing in a couple lighter colors and maybe colors that you don't necessarily think are autumnal, like this light pink there. Even the purple can be a little bit not really, you know, sometimes. I think that kind of freshens it up a little bit. It makes it not so warm. And I think I'm going to use this color for the French knots that we did yesterday as a little ring around the outside. Now, obviously, take all of this stuff with not a grain of salt, but you know what I mean? You have a look at it, see how it looks, and then you can decide what you want to add to yours. There's nothing wrong with just throwing French knots in all the holes and it being fine, because it will look lovely. I promise you it will. But sometimes you just need a little bit of variety, especially with all of the middles, because that means that every flower would have French knots in the middle. And don't forget choosing different strands, not thread lengths, strands, and then wraps. You'll also get a whole different look. So if you wanted something really small, looks almost like seeds, you could fill in all of that with that. Or you could do a mix of really small, like a little band of really small ones, and then a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger as you got to the middle. So the details really are quite an important part, which is why sometimes I would just throw it in at the end as like, oh, it's a details day. I'll just show you a couple little things. But this time I've added like a whole day to it, because I really feel like it really adds a certain something. Where's the end of this? There. I found you. So I'm just going to use all 6 strands here. And then I'll do a small ring of French knots around the outside edge. Let's try 2. I feel like this is going to be too thick. Let's try 1. Because I want to cover up those edges. Yeah, I don't want to see any of those edges there of my blue flower. I also like to do, for the leaves, you can do a small outline if you want around some of the leaves. That often looks really nice. You could also do, for these ones, a straight stitch. That goes about, 2/3 of the way up to the point, and that gives a nice little detail there. I feel like I should have used a slightly lighter color because these are all very rich. But that's okay. Good morning, Mary. Can always tell when there's a knot behind, like from the blue flower. Good morning. And you know what? I'll tell you a funny story. One of David's friends, we went on like a walk outside ages ago, said that he was going to do this embroidery. And I was like, bullshit. That's not going to happen. And he'll watch it. He'll watch this because he's actually started yesterday and he's done the entire bag yesterday, and he's sending me questions and updates and stuff. It was so funny. And you know what? He's done such a great job. Mary says, have you managed to catch up on Love Island yet? I have not. I have not caught up yet. We had a bit of an incident yesterday, which I will tell you about later. So that took literally the entire day. And then I just went to bed early again. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. We've done these 2 middles. I told you I was going to do a brown for this one. So I'll wait and do all those French knots later just because it's a bit, Let's do the inside of this one. That's the same color as that, a bit too close. Where's that blue? I don't want to use that blue. Let me tell you, this is like the most disorganized I've ever had just look at this. This is like so horrible. Every time I look in here, I'm like, I have to sort that out. It's over here. Oh, it's just so bad. I can't live like that. Ugh. Hannah says, I thought this couldn't get better, but you totally make it prettier with every detail. Oh, that's so nice. You guys are too nice to me, I swear. You really are. Okay, so I'm going to do the light blue that we used here in the middle of this. Now, with these, you really want to make sure that you don't make your French knots too big. You could also do just straight stitches in the middle. I'm going to do French knots for this one because I think it looks really pretty with the buttonhole stitch. But the only thing you need to worry about with this one is not covering these straight lines with your French knots, because that's always something that can happen, is that you fill them in too much. Ooh. Don't know what happened there, but the whole screen just went black. We're back now. Yeah, we've got 2. And we just want to put them on the edge like that. You You put so much love into this. You deserve every compliment you can get. You make our mornings better. Oh, you guys. Let me tell you, I always cry on the very last day of the stitch along because I feel like you guys have done so well. And I'm just so proud of everyone. Like, you have no idea. And then so many people have, like, you've got so much more confidence with your stitching. And you can just see people improve. Oh, it's like the best thing ever. So yeah, even if I don't cry on the camera, like, even if you don't hear me, normally when I say, all right, bye, I always have a little tear because I'm like, oh, guys, you've all done so well. So yeah, David's friend, he's done the whole bag. I don't know if he'll do any more today, but I was well impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, you've done such a great job. Like a proud mom, literally, yes. I love this little flower with the buttonhole stitch. I just think it looks so pretty, like with the little thing in the middle, and then you can see the fabric through with the little lines. I just think it looks so pretty. And then obviously you can just jump over and do these in the same color if you want to, or you can swap colors. Do a darker one. You could also do the darker blue in with this as well, so they're not all the same. It just depends on how much time that you really want to put into it, you know, because you could go on with these details for days. So that's why I decided to do a detailed day for this instead of kind of throwing this in with how to finish your hoop. So we've got that. Let me... Oh, thanks, Mom. She said, you're such an amazing teacher in person. Yeah, but like your mom has to say that, doesn't she? Okay. Obviously these ones you can just put a French knot on the very tip of there. If you want to, you could do this kind of thing too. Just do a little, I just call them straight stitches because they're not meant to be so smooth like satin, you know? What else? I've got a dark green here we can put in with these. Like a nice dark green moment. The same green that's in these up here. That's too thick. So that's a good way to see if you like the number of strands or not, is separate how you want it and put it right on where you want it to go. And if it's too thick of a line, then you have too many strands. And that way you know you're going to need to separate them. So here we go. I've got 3, and I'm going to try one little stitch in each of these leaves. I always mix up petals and leaves. I don't know what's the deal with that. It's like my brain is like, nope, they're shaped the same, they're called the same. Okay. So let's try just one. And if we want to add more, we can always add more. just to see what it looks like. And again, this is one of those things where you don't have to do all of this if you feel like I'm done, you know? I don't want to do all these little things. Then don't do them. That's okay. Or if you have your own little idea of, oh, I could add this here, I could add that there, do that then. See, I think that's quite nice. So if you look this side and then this side, I like it. I'm gonna keep it. And do the same thing on the other side. Now you can also do more little fronds if you want. So that's these ones with the fly stitch and the fern stitch that we did. I know I mentioned it before. After I do this side, I'll take it off the hoop stand and then you can see what I mean. Right above this middle flower, there is a bunch of white space, meaning that all of the elements, I'll say, because some are flowers and some are vines and stuff, they all go almost to the edge of the hoop, except for at the top. So if that's something that bothers you, you can always add another element at the top. So you could add another one of these guys over here. You could even take the same color and add the same shape up coming up from the back. You could do some little detached chain stitches like we did for these petals, but use them as leaves, so make them longer. You can do that if you want to. And put them around to like fill up, especially the white spaces. Like if you're not a fan of this white space, then you could always do that. Yeah, you can always add things. You can fill in the white spaces with French knots if you wanted to, or different little, what's going on here? Little bunches like this, but kind of put them in here. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do if you really want to fill it up, or it's totally up to you. Oh my gosh. It's so true though. It is totally up to you. It's your hoop. Take ownership of it. Oh my God. I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to do that. It's totally fine. It's totally up to you. Yeah, the last stitch along, I did do a drawing of it's totally fine, or I'm totally fine maybe. It's in my notebook over there. I should go get it. So there's that. So now they match. The other thing that you can do is I'll show you on a different one so you can see a little bit better. So this is what I'm talking about these, the space at the top. Ooh. Okay, so if you look at it like this, you can see the whole hoop. All of these fronds here on this side and this side, they all go about the same amount of space between the flowers and the hoop. Yeah, except for right here. So there is a white space here. So this is something that you can do on your own if you want to add a couple little guys up there, like these ones maybe, or if you want to add one of these on this side, kind of coming that way. Completely up to you. I changed it, okay? But you can also just leave it. That's fine too. The thing I was going to show you are these little guys, because I don't think I've actually shown you the detached chain stitches as leaves, or how you can do them. And there's another kind of little filler frond that you can put in places too, which I didn't teach it before. So let me put a little thing here. I was teaching David's brother how to stitch. He was going to do it on his golf bag, but then decided not to. So that's what this nonsense is. Okay, so the first one is obviously the detached chain stitch as leaves. So you can put them like this, make them quite long. Like that. And then if you want to, you could even put a straight stitch in the middle to fill them up. So they are completely filled like that. And sometimes it's nice to do one long one and then one short one. It's quite a nice little thing to jazz it up. So these can be tucked like anywhere. So you can kind of put them coming out here, here. You can do a couple here if you wanted. They could be anywhere. So this is all just stuff that you can add, okay? The other thing is something that I quite like to do. It looks like this. Oops. Get it together, girl. Get it together. That's the worst drawing ever, but you come up from the top, however long you want the middle one to be. And then on each side, you just slowly start putting them a little bit farther down. So it's not necessarily the same hole. It's just a little bit farther down. On the side, again, the next one's just a little bit farther down. And then these can be quite wide at the bottom, or they can be tall and skinny. And then as you get lower, I like to make them a little bit shorter. Done. So these are quite fun to stick around places as well. So again, I could totally see a couple being back behind here or even tucked in, you know. So it just depends on how much you really want to add with the details. Obviously, there can be too many. You can go over the top with it. It's really easy to go over the top with it. But I think as long as you're using the same kind of colors, it makes it look more intentional. So as far as details, I would try and use the colors you've used elsewhere in other flowers. And that way you'll keep it a little bit consistent. The other thing left to do is if you wanted to do your table here, you can do a long straight stitch and a long straight stitch so that it's a little like the bag's sitting on a counter or something. Tomorrow we're going to do the handle. So you're gonna have to find this color again, whatever color you used for your bag, and we'll do the handle tomorrow. Because it's a little bit fiddly, but you can totally do it. You can also do a different color handle if you wanted to. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to use the same color as in your bag. You can make it a different color if you want to. So I think that's all from me today. I'm going to go and blow dry this off because I've got some where I didn't go around the lines. I didn't fill it in all the way. And I need to fill in this right here with some French knots. I told you I was going to do a dark brown, so that's what I'm going to do for that. And then I've got these little guys to do as well. I might add a few little leaves here because I think it's looking a little bit bare on this side compared to this side. But again, it's your hoop. Do what you want, you know? So that's it from May. I hope you have a lovely Wednesday, and I'll see you tomorrow with the handle of the bag. And then Friday, all we're going to do is just tidy it up a little bit, and I'll show you how to close the back up, how I do it. I'll also explain how some other people do it. So if you wanted to do it like that, of course you can, no shade there. And then I'll also show you how to display them. So if you wanted to take it out of the hoop and not leave it in this circle, you could do that if you wanted to. Make it into a couple different things, etc., etc. So I hope you have a lovely Wednesday, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. All right, bye.